So today what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at keyword transformations, and specifically with regard to wishes and regrets. Okay. In part 4 of Use of English, it comes up quite a lot. Okay. And we're going to look at things with wish. We're going to look at things with regret, if only, and other such expressions. Okay. This is quite similar to videos I've done before, but with other topics. There's another video about phrasal verbs, and if you're interested, it's definitely worth checking out on the YouTube channel. Okay, so let's start off here with number 1 here, and let's have a read through and see what it says. It says, Claire regrets not being able to visit her great aunt more often. Okay, we're going to have to use the word wishes, and we can see here that we've got some information that is identical for top and bottom. So for example, this part here, we can see we already have here at the bottom, okay? So it's only going to be this part here that is necessary to rewrite, okay? So let's write in what we've got. So we got here regret plus gerund, and hopefully we know that this refers to actions in the past tense. So if we're going to write about wish, then that will give us wish past perfect, okay? So let's write in here, Claire wishes she had been able to, okay? And we can see here, wish past perfect represents the same as regret plus gerund, okay? So Claire wishes she had been able to visit her great aunt more often, okay? Right, okay, let's move on to number 2. So let's just, we're going to have to sort of remove this and move the screen up. Okay, right, okay, let's move on here. Paul wishes that he hadn't started arguing with his best friend, okay? Now, we've got here wish with the past perfect, okay? And we know from the sentence here that that's going to give us regret plus gerund. Okay, so we're going to have to sort of write the sentence. We're going to have a look and see what we've got here. So best friends we've got here, so we don't have to worry about that part. Okay, so it's only going to be this sort of part here in the middle that we're going to have to look at rewriting. Okay, and we know that this is going to be regret something gerund. Okay, so Paul regrets having had argued with his best friend, okay? So he wishes he hadn't started arguing. He regrets having had argued with his friend. Or we could have here as well, just having argued with his best friend, okay? Yeah, the gerund here is important to go with regret, okay? And we know that wish past perfect will give us regret plus gerund. What you have to be careful of is with the negatives, okay? So you can see here, wish past perfect in the negative gives us regret positive gerund, okay? So it's not saying not having, it is regrets having. But you can see here the opposite. So we got regrets not being able, gave us Claire wishes she had been able, okay? So you have to think a little bit about the negatives and positives of these two structures, okay? Okay, let's move on to number 3. Right, okay, so here we've got the structure, which is probably going to be with if only. And again, if you're not too sure about regrets, wishes and regrets, if only is basically the same as wishes. Okay, and all the structures you got with wish, all the structures you have here with wish, okay, are exactly the same as well for if only, okay? So what have we got here? Let's have a look at the answers for number 3. I really regret making such a stupid error in the exam. So again, we know regret gerund refers to the past, okay? And if we're talking about the past, for example, with wish, we know that will be with past perfect, okay? And because we know that if only the same structures work for wish, this also means here we're going to have to use the past perfect, Okay, so let's see what we've got here. So what are we talking about as regard to what we need to write? So such a stupid error in the exam. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that part. Okay, we've already got that here. So it's only about this part here, about making this particular mistake. Okay, so if only I had not made such a stupid error in the exam. Okay, and again, as we said before, this had, and we got here past perfect, but we need to think about the negative. Okay, like we had here at the beginning. Yes, like we had here, for example, in number 2, we've got here in the negative, it gave us regret plus gerund, and this gives us the same idea. Regret gerund gives us this question here with if only, or the same as I wish, but past perfect, but in the negative. Okay. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Let's just move the screen up a bit more. Okay, so Mike wished he had tried to have a better relationship with his father. Okay, so what things can we sort of say that we don't need? Better relationship with his father, perhaps this part here, maybe a relationship is going to be important because we don't have anything here. Okay, and it looks like we're going to be using the verb get. Maybe we're going to have to try and sort of indicate this idea of relationship with get. So maybe we're talking a phrasal verb. Okay, we've got wish past perfect, so we know that gives us regret plus gerund. Okay, and we know now that this would have to be regret gerund, but in the negative. Okay, so something here with this, and then something as well about relationship, and with perhaps some sort of phrasal verb with the verb get. Okay, so Mike regretted not getting. Okay, so that gives us a regret plus gerund that we said in the negative, but now we need something that gives us the idea of relationship. So Mike regretted not getting, let's just choose that again, not getting on better with his father. Okay, so get on better or get on well gives you the idea you have a good relationship with, which is what we have here, but he regrets. Okay, so this is a reason why you've got this negative here, because he really wished that he had a better relationship with his father. Okay. Right. Okay, let's move on to number 2. So we're going to move on to something a little bit different here. What have we got here in number 5? Just one second. Let's just make sure we can see the whole screen. So I wish Adam had bought tickets for you, but we went to Paris instead. Okay. Now we're going to use here rather. We've got here wish past perfect again. Okay. And this time here, it perhaps looks like we're not going to be using something with regret, but we've got use something here with rather. Okay, we're definitely talking about the past tense. Okay, because we've got past perfect here, we've got past simple. So Adam bought us tickets to Paris. So what things do we have? This part here, we've got here at the top. So we know we're not having to talk about this. We don't have anything about, oh, we have something here about, oh, hold on. So yes, we have something here about Paris that we've got here. So it's this part here about going to Lyon and that the tickets had not been bought. Essentially, this is what it says, okay? So what are we talking about here? Adam bought us tickets to Paris, but I would rather have gone to Lyon. Okay, so would rather, if we're talking about in the past, we need to use this expression here with have past participle. Okay, would rather have past participle, we'll talk about the past. Okay, and that gives us very much this idea of wish past perfect, which also refers to wishes in the past. Okay, right. Okay, let's remove this and we'll move the screen up a bit more. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Victoria wished she had followed David's suggestions about preparing for the interview. Okay, again, we've got here wish past perfect. We know that's going to give us regret gerund, okay? We also know now that wish past perfect in the positive will give us regret negative gerund, okay? What things do we need to sort of replace? Preparing for the interview, we've got here. So we don't need to sort of talk about that part. It's definitely going to be something along the lines here about following the suggestions from David. This is the part that we're going to have to sort of talk about. Okay, so let's see what we can write here. So Victoria regretted not, because we already know that we have to write something with a negative. So not doing what David had suggested, okay, about preparing for the interview, okay? Let's just look at this a little bit closer. We've got suggestions here that will give us perhaps here, well, it would definitely gives us the verb, okay? And we're definitely talking about something in the past, hence the past perfect, okay? So Victoria regretted not doing what David had suggested about preparing for the interview, okay? Okay, let's move on to the next part. Question number 7. I wish I could have finished my class project on time. Okay, so here we're talking about the some things that you did not have time to do. Okay, so we're talking about your wishes. Okay, about you. Okay, and we've got here able. Okay, and that may well give us the verb sort of to be able to. Okay, and we know, let's just make a note here that, for example, with can, the infinitive will be to be able to. Okay, and if we need to use can, for example, in the perfect, it's going to be with this verb. Okay, in the past of can, well, we can use could. Okay, but we can also use to be able to for specific occasions. Okay, and similarly in the future, we're going to use some form of to be able to. I will be able to. Okay, so maybe this part of the verb here is going to be important here. Okay, we know again that because of the sentence, of the way the sentence structured, this part is going to be negative. Okay, so let's see what we can write. So I regret not being able to finish my class project. I regret not being able to finish my class project on time. Okay, that's a mistake here. That should not be here. Okay. Right. So yes, we've got here regret in the negative. We've got the gerund for that. We know that now fits with wish with the structure here in the past perfect. This is quite similar. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move on here to the next part. So I'm sorry that we did not save a bit more money for the holidays. Okay. So again, here we're going to be using wish. Okay. We've definitely got something in the past tense. Okay. Now we've got the verb set. Okay. And let's just talk a little bit about what we've got that is duplicated top and bottom. So a bit more money for the holidays, we don't have to worry about. We've got that here. So it's going to be a question about not saving the money. Okay. And perhaps here, this question about not saving the money, we're going to have to deal with some form of the verb set. Okay. So I wish, we're definitely talking the past tense. This will give us past perfect. So I wish I had set aside a bit more money for the holidays. Okay, to set aside is where you sort of put it to one side. Either you're saving it for another time, or if it's money, you're saving it for when perhaps you need this money in the future. Okay, so, oh, actually, sorry, this is going to be with we, because we can see here, I'm sorry now that we didn't. Okay, so let's just go back, finish that and put that with we. So I wish we had set aside a bit more money. Okay, let's move on to the last one. It's a pity Martin is so unreliable. Okay, we're going to use something with count, and it looks like here we're using wish. Okay, You can see here that the sentence is written in the present tense. Okay, so that will give us a sentence here with wish in the past tense. Okay, and we're going to have to find some way referring to this question about reliability. Okay, and maybe here we could sort of refer to his sort of positive reliability because we're wishing that he was perhaps more reliable. Okay, so let's write here. So I wish I was able to count on Martin. Okay, if you count on someone, it means that you can rely on that person to do whatever it is you want them to do, a favor or whatever it is. So count on will give us this idea of that he is not reliable, and you've got this sort of negative here, pity and unreliable. So I wish I could count on, or I wish I was able to count on Martin more. Okay. Okay, if you're interested, there's other videos you can check out. Keyword transformations, there's a few videos about those. There's also other videos as well about other parts of the exam. They're definitely worth checking out, and you can sort of see those on the YouTube channel. Okay.